Welcome to Courage on the Rocks, a space where stories flow like a good glass of whiskey. We're two best friends pulling back the curtain on all the conversations that usually happen behind closed doors.
From grief and love to dating, friendship, motherhood, and all the chaos of life in your 30s. We're diving into it all with honesty, humor, and a splash of courage.
This podcast is about real stories, ours, yours, and the incredible people we'll meet along the way. Whether you're here for inspiration, a fresh perspective, or just to hear from someone who gets it, we're glad you're with us.
So grab your favorite drink, hit play, and join us as we navigate the highs, the lows, and everything in between, one episode at a time. Right.
Start off with one of these. Maybe we should be starting off with one.
I know, it's like making it strong. Green ones are the best.
Wow.
Right? But like, is this an ASMR?
Yeah.
You don't have nails. That was terrible. It goes like that.
Oh, gross. I hate it already.
Right?
Yeah. Do you
ice
guys
tingling.
like our ASMR? Is it supposed to be sexy or no?
Just satisfying noises. All right.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. Cheers to
Courage on the
On the
rocks.
rocks, yeah.
I was going to say, or us.
us. Cheers to us.
Oh, cheers to us. Liana made these fabulous whiskey drinks with iced tea in it.
Yeah.
Actually, on the rocks.
On the rocks.
And we have a lot of stuff happening on our table here.
Yeah.
A lot of different sour candies. We have Warheads, sour Skittles, and then we have some Takis right here that are almost done.
Yeah.
Almost devoured them.
Tell our listeners why we have all this bad stuff on here.
All the red dye.
All the red dyes
I like
before
the
they
red
leave
dyes.
us.
I'm glad they're leaving. But
no, I agree.
Also
But
sad. So these are coping mechanisms.
alcohol, candy, chips.
Oh God. So my therapist taught me that sour candies are actually really effective for anxiety attacks. Especially if you feel them coming on. Not so helpful when you're already in it, but when you have like the onset and you're like feeling really antsy, go ahead and take one.
Yeah.
I've actually used them when I first went back to work after losing Jorge. I would use them and they would last about 30 minutes, honestly.
Yeah.
And then I'd pop another one in and then I'd be good for another 30 minutes and take another one. I took like 4 in one day, just like trying to get readjusted. It's super effective.
Yeah.
We have Skittles. Liana uses these in her work too.
Yeah. I think the first thing I learned about sour Skittles as well is at my former site, one of our school counselors deals with a lot of students who go through traumatic events or having just emotional feelings. So they would come in and pop a couple of these in, and I would use them in my classroom as well. It's like, hey, take a break, take a second, take a beat, eat some candy, reset your body, and then let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
So,
So those are, suggested by real people who are therapists.
Yes.
That's good. Takis, not so much. That's just something that we like, and
anything
oddly
spicy,
like a go-to emotional thing, I think.
Yeah, I think we used it quite a
lot, like hot Cheetos too.
Or the Trader Joe's is the healthy version of them.
Yeah. Although I had some of those like earlier this week, and then sticking these in my mouth.
Yeah.
Like an addict wanting to come back. Yeah.
Thank you, Red Dye, for making
Thanks,
us
Red Dye. Yeah. It's good. But we actually have these here, not just to share with you on how to use them or how to incorporate them. You totally should. But because we're going to be talking about a pretty hard one today. So they're here in case we actually need them. Is really what's happening.
I think so. Yeah. When we first started the podcast, we talked about how some events and stories are going to come across their feed, and this is one of those times where we are going to do a raw, and in front of them, and we've not do it in front of you. Oh my gosh. We're going to have this conversation in front of you. Have this conversation. We did prep a little bit for it, but this conversation.
Horribly put.
Horribly, terribly. I word vomit, okay? Just,
Horribly put.
it's been a long day.
Anyways, we're
yes.
not going to, we're going to do our best to not dissociate.
Yeah.
We're going to allow ourselves to be fully seen in the ways that we need to in this moment. And we're going to be brave enough and have courage to sit in it together in that space.
Yeah, and share your story and our story from what we know best.
Exactly.
And what is true to us.
Exactly. Yeah. So today we are going to be talking about Jorge's passing. So we're going to talk about the details, what happened, and we're going to look at it from my perspective, but also from Liana's point of feet, I guess. You're going to take a step into our shoes and kind of hear about it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think also for a way for us to share with each other, because the details of like how we process and went through those moments. It is also could be a trigger warning for some of our listeners and followers.
Yeah, so definitely a trigger warning. So if you have a hard time with hearing details, right, about the loss of people, death, head trauma, things like that, then we do encourage you to stay, but like stay you know, in a way that like is beneficial to you. You know, tap into yourself for a minute and say like, are you in a space where you're fine listening? You can sit in that space with us. And if you're not, maybe you listen to this episode later today when you have time to like decompress, right?
At the end of the day, this is our truth and what we're telling the story as is. So I'm sure also we'll have some listeners who may have been close to the story as well and could have seen or experienced these events a little bit different than our perspective of it. And what I say to you guys is take it with a grain of salt as well, because the things that we're going to share is how it affected us and how we process through it. And it might be a different way than you have viewed it. But at the end of the day, we're the ones sharing this story. And we want you to just sit here and listen.
And so let's talk about why we're doing this. Because it's not, here are these crazy, you know, sometimes graphic details. Now, listen to our podcast, watch it reel. That has nothing to do with why we're sitting here and like being in this vulnerable space. We're doing this because one, we process and heal through verbalization. And that's extremely effective for us. And grief is often not talked about. It's something you experience behind closed doors. And then after the first few weeks, people go on with their lives, and then it's just you sitting in that. But what happened if there was a world where you didn't have to be quiet and just sit in that alone? Right?
Those silent battles.
The silent battles
are the most painful ones.
And you don't have to do that silently. And I imagine like how wonderful it could be and how much more helpful it would be to work through things and talk through things and express those hard things versus just sitting in it by yourself, running through it over and over again, or just pushing it to the side, thinking like you're just going to try and move past it when you can't. Right? One of the things that I found is like you have to work through it. And I've worked through it so many times to where like the damage, the pain is softer versus people who don't touch it at all. Right? They lock that away and think that like, okay, I'm good as like nothing pokes it, right? But then it gets poked and it's like it like takes over your body.
The magnitude is so much more painful.
It is.
And the reality of it.
Looked at it, invited it to have a seat with you and chatted for a minute, right? That's what we're doing.
That is, but I think also as a testament to even from that week leading up to it, you protected yourself and you knew right away, I have to take these steps in order to survive this magnitude loss.
Yeah. Do you mean the week after?
Yeah. And making sure
the week of.
The week of. Like
Which is
making sure all of the
about,
appointments were being booked and learning how to take care of yourself through all that. And still continuously doing that, even to this day. Yeah.
So we're going to get into it, and we invite you to stay.
Yes. Come along and listen.
Yeah. All right. So, May 17th, it was a normal Wednesday. I was working from home and remote, and for some reason I had Leo that day. And I remember like taking a Snapchat video, and he was sitting in my my work chair in my home office, and I was spinning him. And I took a video and I sent it to Jorge. I was like, this is so cute. Look at our 1-year-old. He's adorable, right?
Yeah.
And that was just like 4 hours. 4 hours before his dad passed away.
Yeah.
Right? So
you were able to see that he opened it and saw it.
Oh, yeah. He was active. He'd be working on his phone. And so essentially, workday ends. Jorge comes home really quickly to grab his soccer stuff because he's going to go coach his youth boys team. And I remember sitting on the couch and watching him pick up Leo in the hallway. And he gives him this big old kiss. And then he puts Leo right next to his beard in his scruff. And he just goes, and then tickles Leo. And Leo's just giggling, his 1-year-old giggle, unstoppable, gonna pee his diaper kind of giggle. And then he kisses him and puts him back down. And I remember saying, I love you, I'll see you when you get home. Right. And I cooked dinner, started a bath. Right. And thankfully my mom was there helping with bath. And I remember I went to go grab a towel for Leo, and I was walking back and I saw in my hallway my phone was sitting on like the counter, and I saw that I had like 3 missed calls from the team manager, and I was like, that's really weird. So I picked it up and I called her, and she didn't call me back, and I was like, okay. So then I called Jose, that was Jorge's brother, my husband's brother, and they actually coached together. And he was at the practice, and I call Jose, and he picks up, and he is bawling his eyes out. And I knew like immediately, okay, like something is seriously wrong. And I just kind of like froze, and he just said, like, I'm so sorry. Like, there was nothing I could do. Like, I'm so sorry. And he's just crying. I'm like, it's okay. Just tell me what happened. And he says that Jorge just collapsed on the field, and that he wasn't moving, and like he had tried to help him, but there was literally nothing that he could do. They called an ambulance. And I just like imagine like all of his like all these 16-year-old boys, just
to witness that,
witnessing that, surrounding their coach, like feeling that like fear, and everyone just like not knowing what's happening and if he's alive or dead or what's going on, right? And so they end up getting him in an ambulance, and Jose says, okay, like he's at Emmanuel Hospital, right? We're going to Emmanuel right now. So the team literally just went to Emmanuel. I remember just like looking at my mom, because she can tell immediately. She's watching me from the bathroom door, and she's like, what happened? And I told her that Jorge collapsed. He was being ambulanced for her to stay with Leo. And I just booked it to find my keys. I couldn't find my keys anywhere. And she just like, take my car. So I took my mom's car, grabbed the first pair of shoes I could find, which was some fucking cheap ass flip-flops. And I got in the car and I just like started speeding over there. And in my head, I'm like really frantic. And just super afraid. Yeah, and I get, kind of take that back way, I get to that stop sign. And I remember for like a good 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, it took me to get to that stop sign. I just kept on praying, God, let him be okay, right? God, don't do this to me, let him be okay. Like, and then I started saying in my head, like, no, we're going to be okay. Like, he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay, right? I was just praying to God so hard. And then I hit that stop sign. And I just felt like the air changed in the car. Like, gravity was not doing its thing anymore. Like, something was very different in the car. And I just felt like Jorge right behind me. And I remember in that moment, like, I just started screaming, like, legit, like, movie status, screaming, because for me, that was him telling me that, like, he wasn't there. Like, he wasn't going to be on Earth anymore. Like, he was already gone, right? And I just lost it. I just started crying. And then realizing I'm at the stop sign, and then I just like flipped a switch and I was like, fuck that, no you're not. And I was like, told myself I had to be calm because I knew he would be telling me, like immediately I just like kind of switched my head of like, I have to be calm because if I get in an accident, then Leo might not have any of his parents, right? It's better to have like one parent versus none. Right? So I like managed to get to a manual, and I remember just parking and booking it in my flip-flops, just sprinting, and his team's outside. Jose's outside, and I just rushed right past them inside, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm looking for this person, like, what room is he in? And they tell me he's not there. And in my head, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, you guys should have beaten me. How did I just beat an ambulance? It doesn't make any sense, right? And then it took about like 5 minutes, and then we found out he was rerouted. And they took him to Doctor's Hospital because their trauma center is like a level 2, and Emmanuel was a level 5. So he was so severe that they had to put him into a better trauma center. And I later learned that's because he basically died in the ambulance. So they had to
revive him.
So I was now trying not to go over 110 on the freeway to Doctor's Hospital. And I remember I literally was driving like 100 miles, like, and this is at like 9 o'clock at night. And I'm on my way and I get a call from a random number, and it's the ER doctor who had him. And they're like, hello, are you the wife to Jorge Contreras? And I was like, yes. And she's like, okay, he's here at Doctor's Hospital. And we want to make sure that that you are coming. I was like, I'm on my way. And I was like, can you just tell me if he's alive? And then she got really quiet and got like even this like softer, sad, sweet voice, you know, and she's like, we have him stabilized, is all she said, but that it was really bad. And that she'll we'll talk about it when we get there, right? So I get there and we rush into the emergency room and they wouldn't let me back. They wouldn't let me back for like 30 minutes. And at this point I'm like, and it's 30 minutes of like having that information, not being let back there, not knowing what's going on back there. And I'm like ready to just fight the security guard, you know? Yeah. But also not able to advocate for myself very well. So I had someone else do it for me. Yeah. And I remember right before they pulled me back, they were like, okay, go ahead and sit down. So they have me like right in the admissions area. And usually, you know, like when you go to the ER, like you're there and like they're fucking like mean to you. They're like, just give me your shit, go sit in line. Yeah. We don't have time for you, kind of a thing. They sat me down and they were so kind and they were like, can you pull out your, you know, do you have his license and his ID and things like that? And they literally put a tissue box right next to me and I'm sobbing. And in my head, like I knew that they knew what I was trying to understand. Like, you know, like they already knew the answer before I did. And I can see this young girl trying not to cry her fucking eyes out in front of me, you know? And I remember giving them the information and they're ready to pull me back and I'm expecting to go see him. I'm expecting to go like right up to him and at least see him. But then they do the shit that you see in the movies, which is like, so we're going to go ahead and put you in this room. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that alone. So I pulled in, I said that X, Y, and Z were my family. And I pulled in, you know, the manager who was basically like family to us anyways. It was a few other people, and I think I had one or two of his brothers with me at that point. And we were sitting in this room just kind of waiting, right? Not for long, and then there's a doctor that comes in. And she sits down, like literally right across from us. And then she just very like states the facts, right? And it's basically Jorge had an aneurysm. We did everything we could, but basically the damage was too much, and there's nothing else we can do. That's literally what it was like. And we're sitting there, and in my head I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? You know, like what do you? And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, what do you mean by that? And then she repeats the same shit again, and I'm getting irritated because I'm like, I'm not understanding. Like my brain is not comprehending what she's saying. And then she's trying her best to tell me that he's dead, right? Which, as we go through this episode and the next one, that's a concept that my brain would not register with. So essentially we ended up, so they said there's nothing else they can do, and I asked him like, why wasn't surgery on the table? Like why were they not relieving the pressure from his brain, because the pressure was too much because of the amount of blood from the aneurysm, but they hadn't opened his brain. Like it didn't make any sense to me. Why are you not opening up the skull, you know? Yeah. And the answer, and this like stuck with me for too long, was the surgeon didn't want to. So basically, they didn't have a surgeon who was qualified enough to do it and wasn't willing to take the risk to do it, and did not think it was going to be worth it. And that's because their trauma center still wasn't where it needed to be.
Yeah. It wasn't like a level 1.
Nope.
Like end all be all can solve this problem.
And they weren't even offering a level 1. Jeez. They were saying
just no.
Yeah, they were saying that's it. And basically, like, if they had gone their way, I would have literally kissed him there, gone home to Leo that night, and bam, widow, dead husband, his dad's dead, like, jeez, nothing left. Like, that in my head is like their families who are told that that's their story.
That's the end of it.
And like, how dare you not even try? That's like your brain cannot process or really understand being told like something like that.
Yeah.
And then not having that time to allow it to process.
Jeez.
And just go away now, right? Say your goodbyes, walk away, never to be seen again.
Yeah, but also to be the one to not to give hope.
Yeah.
Like that's awful. Not to give it a chance. Like how your oath.
And who's deciding this?
Who is deciding that?
Yeah.
Who gets that honor to say, we're done.
This life is not worth that attempt.
Not worth that attempt.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do everything in your power.
Yeah.
You know, do no harm. I believe that's their first number 1 rule. Do no harm.
Yeah.
And that was a bad call.
Yeah.
Because you created harm.
Yeah. It was, and the sad part is like so many, Jorge is not the only story here, right? And that's because of the area that we live is not equipped for injuries such as that.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen in this area either.
That's the thing, right? Like we're dependent in the Central Valley that in order to survive something like that, you have to have it not be that big.
Yeah.
And then be meta-flighted out.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, that one was like a really hard one for me.
Yeah.
And so we basically told him that we were not going to walk away, and that we wanted him meta-flighted and to find either UCSF or I think it was UC Davis, one of those.
Give us a second opinion.
Yeah, get us, and so they were able to connect with UCSF. They sent them his scans, everything. And there was a doctor, a surgeon, neurosurgeon, who was willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
And he said yes. And then we initiated the flight. Yeah, I remember being told that they were going to allow that, and then how I say allow that. Like it's literally someone say like it's not like you think you have power, right? And if I ask you, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna fight like hell for this person, right? But there's so many barriers to that, and at the end of the day, I had zero fucking power, right, to actually save his life. Right? Like you think like you would do anything, but the reality is like you have such a minimal. What you can do is so minimal.
Yeah. Like as
a wife
out of your control. Of someone.
It's out of your control, right? Unless I was a neurosurgeon, right?
Yeah.
And even then, there would be things out of my control.
Yeah.
You know, it just is insane to me.
Yeah, and listening to it for me, it's like. What a waste of time.
Waste of time.
Massive waste of time. Like, why are we here arguing, debating, and like not giving this a chance? If you knew right then and there, be like, hey, unfortunately, we can't do something about it, but we're going to make sure to find someone else to go fight for this case.
Yeah.
Like, why is it that you had to advocate for that?
Yeah.
You know, is life like not that precious to them about that?
Yeah. It's, you're talking about, you know, time, and it was 8 hours by the time from when it happened to the moment we actually landed in San Francisco.
Gosh.
And the entire time his brain is still bleeding, and that's what like I couldn't fathom of like, why didn't you put a tube in there? Like, why didn't you do something to alleviate the pressure, which is the reason why it was so damaged, right? Like, they didn't do that. They gave him medication, right? And so I'm after post, everything, I was processing that, and like I ended up like getting all his medical records, everything, and I sent them out, and I needed to figure out if I should sue them or not, honestly, because I needed to know, did they do something wrong?
Negligence.
Was it negligence, or was it was just so fucking bad that there wasn't a chance, right?
Yeah.
Turned out that it was so bad.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember, we're in the room, we're trying to get them, to the approval to go to San Francisco, or somewhere. And while we're waiting, I remember by that time, like, Heather had called me, right? And she's like, what's going on? Like, what happened, right? Because, and like, I'm telling her, and I remember sending out a text to my family. I literally hadn't told my family anything. Yeah. And all I did was send out a group text saying, like, and it sucks to be on the receiving end of this text, right? And I know that. And the group text to the family was, Jorge just had a brain aneurysm. We're at the hospital. They're saying he's not going to make it. I need you guys to pray, like down on your knees, praying that he's gonna be okay. They just sent off that text, right? Like, that alone is like a fucked up thing to experience.
Yeah. Like, you yourself have to communicate that. That's like
me communicating it. You on the other end getting it, right? Like, someone you love and seeing that, and then like, what do you do now? Like, there are so many moments throughout this where it's like you're handed this fucking heavy weight, and you can't do anything with it, right? Like, you have zero power.
Did you get a chance to see him at all when you were at doctor's?
So, yes, they let me go to him. And they had him kind of like laid down, but like propped up a little bit. Thank God, because of the blood. And I just remember going out to him, and I just like whispered in his ear. I was like, "You're gonna be okay. I'm gonna make sure we're okay." Right? Like, trying to be the strong one, right? And in my head, I was like, no, we're gonna fucking do this. Like, we're gonna figure it out. Like, we're gonna go to San Francisco. Like, we're gonna figure it out, right? And I was just like holding his hand, and they were kind of getting him ready for the flight. And I remember my sister and my brother had gotten there at that point, and so they were standing there with me, and it was for a moment as if like he wasn't gonna die. Like, there was a moment where like I wasn't, it didn't feel so bad. Like, I was like, maybe this is gonna be okay. I remember standing there, and we're trying to like not stand there like he's gonna die, and like feeling that, like, when you're in that experience, you're trying to like make things a little bit lighter because it's just so fucking heavy, right? And it felt light for a minute. And I remember the nurses and everyone there kind of just watching us. And they knew he was dead, right? And they're watching us, right? Like, it's just like this. So like, every time I think about it, like, everybody's point of view is just like, it's hard.
It is. Everyone, I think, connection to Jorge and the closeness of it and the perspective of it, like you said, it was hard. And to the doctors and nurses there, unfortunately, even if they see this every single day, or if this is part of their career path and choice, I mean, the weight of that, and to be able to witness something like that and know, like, this is a person, a life, a story,
Yeah.
a human being. And like knowing that what you are about to go through, but they know that story of it, you know, like that's just horrible.
I think what I struggle most with DMC is that they did not value his life. Yeah. And that's what I find so problematic. They didn't fight for it.
Yeah.
You know, there was zero attempt on that effort, whereas San Francisco was like, he literally, I remember talking to the surgeon on the phone, and he's like, this doesn't look good, but like, we're doing a Hail Mary surgery. Like, we're going to do this, and we're going to see if we're going to have any positive outcomes from it, you know? Like, those are two different fucking mindsets, right?
Yeah.
If they had that mindset with him, still he'd probably be dead, right? But what about everyone else who fucking goes there?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a culture. It's, you know, like, you save more lives by having the mindset of, I'm going to value this life and the family that is depending on this fucking person versus, oh, no.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Go
attempt.
ahead and say your goodbyes.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Nothing good to say about that.
It's not.
No.
There's not. But like that was one of the lasting impacts that UCSF had for me. Was even in like the darkest moment of, I've already been told he's gone, you just need to say goodbye and walk away, they still gave me hope, right? They didn't have to do that, but the whole week there was hope, you know?
Attempts.
There was attempts, right? Hope given to us, right? But they fought, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you want.
That's what
That's what you would expect, bare minimum.
people who are in that profession.
Fight. Yeah.
Their job, it literally is to fight for that person.
It is.
For the patient.
They had gotten him on the helicopter, and we had to advocate just for me to even get on it because of the weight differential, and thankfully I'm not super big. So I weighed just small enough in order to get on the helicopter. And their crew was amazing, and they were so full of hope too. And were sharing about their experience of, you know, having someone recently or someone who had gone through a really bad brain aneurysm. It looked really bad, but they had got like metaflighted to UCSF, and they actually ended up making a recovery, and then she came back to visit them, and it was this beautiful thing, right? Yeah. So for this weird like 2 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how long was that ride?
It was like 2 hours. And then you land at the airport actually, because UCSF doesn't allow you to land on their hospital.
Really?
Yeah, which means you now have to go through traffic, whatever, to get to the hospital. So, which again, that's time. Time is life. And it ended up being like a 3-hour thing, something like that. Enough time for me to get there, and my family's there, who had driven from San Francisco, right?
You think a helicopter would be faster?
Right, you would think. It is to move him. Yeah, and I remember like we were on the flight, like we were above the clouds, and then the pilot's like, okay, watch this, and he's got like this, you know, so sweet and just really comforting, and we just go right underneath the clouds, and then you just see all of San Francisco lights. It was so beautiful. You see the bay. It's a view you're not gonna get like
anywhere else.
Ever, you know. And it was like this time in the helicopter of like, I might be okay, we might be okay, we might be okay, right? Just for a moment. And then we land. And he goes right in, and they get him in the ICU, neuro ICU area. And it's like fucking 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't even know at this point. It was long.
Yeah.
It was really long. But all of our families there, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get the phone call from the surgeon that he's going to do a Hail Mary, and they're literally, the moment he got there is the moment that they started putting him right into surgery. There wasn't a wait. There wasn't, okay, let's assess this. It was, they were ready to go. We landed. They were already putting him into surgery, right? The doctor was already calling me. The moment he was out, he was on the phone with me telling me what happened or how it went, right? And then they were getting him comfortable in the ICU so I can go be with him, right? Like, they're just all on it. Yeah.
Wow. I think that there's a lot of things to unpack. Something like that. To be the wife sitting on a helicopter and taking that ride. You know, like that alone. I don't even think my brain can wrap around you physically having to do something like that. You know? And I understand, like, one, never been in a helicopter before.
No, two, walking up to the top of the freaking thing, watching it land, watching them roll him in there, hook him up. They're instructing me exactly how to sit, what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just looking at Jorge.
Yeah. Like the most important, the second, like, you know, besides Leo, the most important person in your life. You're just like, this is what we're doing. You know, and to have that ride and go through that and the ambulance and all of this without like you having any control of it.
And I remember like we're getting there and they're walking us through UCSF, and like I just felt like a zombie. Like I just felt like I wasn't even, like I was outside of my body, you know, and they're like, okay, it's okay, come over this way, and like so just wonderfully good at their jobs, right? But like you're not, at that point, like I'm just completely in shock, and really unable to process a lot, and just like I'm trusting these people with the person that I love the most in this world, and I'm trusting them in that, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't do that at DMC, right?
Yeah.
But that's what happened at UCSF, and we had to see what happened. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's emotionally exhausting.
It is. And I think that's why something like this is a multiple part episode for us, because I mean that alone, just getting to a place and being aware of the space and being aware of like how finite and so precious everything was. And turning yourself around so quickly like that, you know, of like a mom at home giving a bath, 8 hours later, widow, essentially, you know, in your eyes, in your head, you're like in that space.
Yeah.
And what that had been like and how you were treated from one place versus another, that's just all at the age of what, 28?
Yeah, it's 28.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, God, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I was just sitting there. I was so glad that I had Dana with me, because, like, I didn't know what to do. And I looked at her. I was like, what do I do? And she's like, get him to UCSF. Like, get him transferred. Like, I cannot advocate enough that you need someone there who can help think for you. And you know this. And we're going to talk about a lot in episode 2. Like, you're so in shock that, like, you need people who are less out of that, right? They're still obviously emotionally in it, but, like, they can think about the things that you literally cannot even fucking think about, right?
Yeah, because, like, your brain is just not I can't even wrap around what is going on.
No.
To be able to advocate for self or to be
Yeah.
able to protect itself. It's literally frozen in shock.
You can't.
Yeah. And where was Leo by the time you were up in San Francisco?
Asleep in bed because we're at 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right.
Your mom with him.
My mom was with him. I had never been away from Leo like that. But I knew it was safe, so that was like comforting. Like I knew he was there. I knew my sister was staying. I think she had stayed back. I can't remember. I think to make sure he was good.
Yeah.
Like I knew he was good, so
He was taken care of.
I didn't have to worry about him. And honestly, I didn't. I knew he was good, and compared to what I was worrying about, Leo was fucking fine.
Yeah.
Right? I had the worst nightmare. The one thing that I had like prayed to never happen because I thought it would like destroy me in every fucking way.
Yeah.
And it was happening. It was literally happening in front of me.
Yeah. You were living through it. You were living the nightmare.
I was living the nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think we're going to transition this into a 2-parter, potentially a 3.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I think this is a good time to just take a beat.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because that was a lot of information that I wasn't aware of, and also I know for our listeners, like that's a lot to digest. You know, for our listeners who either have been similar situations or events, or who have been there, and now are listening from your point of view. So that's a lot. It's pretty heavy.
It is.
But again, you're telling your truth, your story, and you're sharing it. And like you said, we do best verbalizing it. That's how we heal through it, you and I. We heal through talking and sharing, and through all of our sessions as well. And with therapy, we know that you can't keep that inside.
Yeah.
You can't. I think we heal as we continue to have these conversations and share and bring more people into the awareness of the event and how you grew from that. You still survived through that.
Yeah, I did. And I think it's also like, it is definitely healing to do it, right? But it's not like, okay, I talked about it, all better, right? It's like the smallest increments of change over time, right? Like we're 2 years in, but it's also exhausting, and like, it takes me time to recover. Like I need to go home and sleep. I need to care for my body, and I need to have quiet time with my son. You know, like
nurture yourself back.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of effort, and that's why people don't want to do it. Because it's painful, right? But it's like short increments of pain that are manageable, you know, over time to help deal with this massive thing that just feels untouchable, but it's not untouchable.
Yeah.
Right?
And for your brain to wrap around it as well. Saying like, here we go, we're going to tap back into it, we're going to share the story again, we're going to relive those moments and those events.
You do.
And now to the internet, you know, like at first when we were sharing with just each other, it was just between you and I and having this conversation. But now it's bringing other people into this world. You know, that itself is a lot. And for your body to go through all that again. I'm proud of you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Love you.
I love you.
Cheers, and cheers to self-care. Everybody
Self-care.
go get it.
Go get candy, guys.
Candy.
Sour candy and whiskey.
Yep. Cheers.
Cheers.
You don't need the whiskey.
You hear me? Jorge would be like, yeah, absolutely, you need the whiskey.
Oh, true. You're like, fuck that.
Yeah.
You don't need the candy.
Yeah, he's like, get the bottle. See that blue bottle out there?
Knock it back.
Yeah, knock it back.
Thanks for tuning into Courage on the Rocks.
Until next time, hold on to your courage, and we'll see you soon. Cheers!